Star Trek Into Darkness countdown continues with Star Trek Insurrection. Hey folks, it's Shannon, and time to dive into the 9th film in the Star Trek film series. So, yeah, 9th film. 3rd with the Next Generation cast, 2nd with exclusively the Next Generation cast. Oh, depends on how you look at that, actually. Well, mostly. Not going to get super nitpicky on that, especially when I'm going to go on to explain. This film is from 1989. It's directed by Jonathan Frakes, who plays Riker. And I think, I can't remember. I think he directed First Contact, but I can't remember. He directed several of the TV episodes as well, and does direct now still. So awesome! Yay! Love Riker. So this, okay, it's weird because just straight off the bat, I love this film. Sometimes I forget I love this film, and sometimes I kind of try and pit First Contact and Insurrection against each other, and it's not really fair, because it's like, they're not, like, made of the same stuff. They're completely different films, which is really cool, because it's the same cast, but a different feel and a different scenario. Coming off of First Contact, we have very high energy, exciting, action-packed, historically impactful, in terms of the Star Trek universe film. And then Insurrection is much more sensitive in terms of the themes and the characters that they're working with, but there's a lot of tension and a lot of conflict. So that kind of gets a little messy, but in a very Star Trek way, because science fiction is a great form to talk about things that people don't necessarily, that an easier way sometimes to talk about things without directly talking about things, because you're in fictional land, and then you sort of absorb it, and you're like, oh, that means something in the world. But one of the weird things, watching it this time, I was kind of like, oh, because sometimes I forget, because it's weird. This whole conflict thing and the Federation feels like it's in a more tumultuous time and stuff like that. And then when they started talking, I was like, oh, yeah. If you look at the placement of this, it's after the Next Generation series ended, but is pretty deep into Deep Space Nine, which as a series had a lot more conflict and sort of grander scheme, universe type stuff. And it was also at the same time as Voyager, but because Voyager is set in the Delta Quadrant, it's a totally different, it's sort of neither here nor there in terms of the impact on the story and the setting mostly. So I forgot that the setting was kind of, it made sense that it was kind of chaotic in terms of, the people being accepted into the Federation, or, people that they were working with and stuff like that. So, but it made sense once they said certain things and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense. This is late days of Deep Space Nine. That makes sense, even though it follows the Next Generation characters, of course. But I just love this one. I really do. It's so weird, because it's like with First Contact, I think I just love the whole movie. There's everything about First Contact I love. And then with Insurrection, there's the moments that I love and the themes that I love, and there's some things that I don't love as much because they're kind of, some of the aliens they deal with are kind of gross, to put it mildly. Like not only like physically as well as, they're really angry, and there's a lot of pain and a lot of hurt, and that's not always something that's fun to sit with in terms of sort of like, sci-fi adventure movie, so, so it's kind of, but then the things I love about it, so it sort of sways back and forth for me, so that's weird, and also it has, that's weird in the fact that I just love it, when there's parts of it that I don't love. And then the other thing is it has, one of the if you watch Trek, you'll know that there's often episodes that deal with, a society that, is quaint, or, doesn't use technology, or isn't interested in technology, and it's often, to me, it often feels glamorized, and I just don't necessarily agree. And it's not necessarily the technology aspect, but there's often, episodes, especially classic Trek, where they go somewhere and it's like ancient here, or it's like the 1940s. So that's not no tech, but it's just like it's set somewhere that's sort of understandable and accessible, but sort of like, less, you know, like an earlier stage. And I almost never like stories like that, and a lot of this one has a story like that, but I love it. I still love it. So it's like, and I like that too, because it breaks the rules in terms of understanding it, but like in terms of the pattern, but I still love it. And no. Okay, I had a technical moment there. I hope this is still working. I've been having some YouTube problems. If I haven't been commenting on stuff, I'm sorry. It's just for some reason the sound always goes out after like 2 seconds of watching any videos, and I haven't been able to fix it. I've updated Flash a bajillion times, so I feel like that's always the problem, but I don't know. Anyway, non sequitur on Flash over. So yeah, I just love this movie, and one of the reasons why is that I love the character of Anuj, played by Donna Murphy. Love her. Love her, love her, love her. Such a beautiful, interesting energy, great interaction with Picard, and pretty unusual to see a character like her, like an older-ish woman, and wise, and it's so weird because it shouldn't be an unfamiliar archetype, but I think it's an underrepresented archetype, so it was really wonderful to see that and to see her. Great performance by her and great energy. Really enjoyed it. And also, if you look closely, there's a very young Michael Welch in there. And if you're unfamiliar with Michael Welch, this is funny. This is going to maybe cheese off a whole bunch of the science fiction people. He's in Twilight. He plays Mike Newton in Twilight. He plays one of the humans. And he was also fantastic. He's good in Twilight. He's really good. And he's also fantastic on one episode of Stargate SG-1 where he plays a young... Oh my god. Jack? the main guy. MacGyver. He plays a young MacGyver. Anyway, and he was great in that. So anyway, so there's a Twilight Star Trek connection. Ha 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 ha. Anyway. Where genre crossover love just happens. It's awesome. And it's also, there's another reason why this one surprises me, is this is the third of the Next Generation films that has a pretty strong Data story in it. First Contact had the strongest, I think, but Generations had a strong one too, and there's a strong one here. And in some ways I'm kind of like, oh my god, like Data always gets this, like, a big story with this character, and I feel like that should bug me, but I'm like, you know what, in this one it's great. It's one of my favorite parts of the film, so like I can't really, you know, hold it to task. Sometimes I wish some of the other characters like Beverly or Deanna would get like a stronger, you know, character development portion, but that doesn't often happen. Or even Worf. I don't know. I think I like Worf as he is. You gotta love Worf, you know. So there was a lot to love about this film, and I was actually, I also, you know, in terms of if you're not sort of into the whole sort of like more, I would say for me this one's pretty emotional and pretty political, I guess, you know, in some ways, or I don't know if political is the right term, but it does have a sense of doing the right thing, conscientious kind of idea, in my opinion. But one of the things I loved about it is, although it has like this sort of emotional drive in terms of the story and themes, there's also a lot of great science fiction stuff in space, really interesting ideas, fabulous visuals, really good. I would have to say not all of the effects held up great over time. Some of the smaller effects weren't as hot, and that just might be the version I have or whatever, and nothing was glaring or anything like that. It's just sometimes you notice things like that over time, but all the stuff in space looked fabulous. So I was really happy with it. This one I always look forward to watching, and I'm surprised how well I know it. Like, honestly, pretty close to off by heart for a lot of it, so that's really kind of crazy. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Yay! Insurrection! Yay! And so that takes us to Star Trek Nemesis. I don't like that one. It'll be really interesting to watch that one actually now that, like, everyone knows who Tom Hardy is. I wonder if I'll have a different opinion. I think I even forgot I knew who Tom Hardy was. Anyway, I will give it another chance. And this, I forgot to say, this one actually I don't think I saw in the theater. I think I originally saw it on video with rather low expectations. And that's mostly, I don't really have a strong, I have it on VHS, so I might have just bought it and then been like, hey, this is good. But again, that time, 98, I wasn't going to the theater very often, so this definitely would have been a VHS one. I still have my VHS kicking around somewhere, so, but I saw it on DVD. I love this set. And I think most people are watching on the Blu-rays, but I don't have them on Blu-ray. That's okay, these still work. And I still haven't watched any of the special features. That's not true. Sometimes I look at the text commentaries when they have them by Michael Okuda and Denise Okuda. I think that's really cool. It's kind of, I don't know, there's something like a very cool sort of like in-joke about how the feel of them. It's like being in the booth. If you've ever worked in theater, it's like being in the booth. And non-theater people won't know what I'm talking about. and this is the end of the the vlog, so I don't want to keep yammering on, but the theater people unite, you know what I mean. So okay, so that means Lightning Cube 1 go. Thanks so much for watching. And check out other folks that are doing the watch along. I'll put the links below. You can check out their channels. Thanks so much for watching.